A very good morning to you watching. This is Smart Minutes Business here in Smart 24 TV. My name is Masika Sime, and of course today is the 9th of January 2024, and it is Tuesday. And of course we welcome you to Smart Minutes Business here every day from Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. till 9:55 a.m. And of course I did not come alone. I came with Init Ankunda. And today we are having an interesting topic, navigating Uganda's forex frontier. And of course, as of June 2023, Uganda's foreign exchange reserves stood at 4.1 billion US dollars. That was according to the Bank of Uganda. And of course, this represents an import cover of 14.15 months. Yeah, 4.15 months, which is slightly lower than the 4.1 months in June 2022. Of course, we're comparing the 2022 and 2023. And of course, very soon we shall be comparing last year and this very year. And of course, the results have been on the global downward trend in the recent years due to debt servicing and repayment. Well, of course, today we're going to be looking at the current status and challenges of the Uganda's forex reserves in the global economic landscape. I don't know what you think about the forex reserves in Uganda.
Still talking about the same report you were giving, the one whereby they say that Uganda's foreign exchange reserves stood at $4 billion in that is as of June 2023. So that was a report from Bank of Uganda, and still to add on to that, they go ahead to tell us that the level of foreign exchange reserves ending 2023 was $4.074 billion, which is the equivalent to 4.15 months in Uganda's import cover of goods and services. Then we also have that the Uganda Central Bank noted that it saw a decrease of 0.37% from shillings 4.08 billion, which was 4.17 months of the import cover in June 2022. Now, in addition to a decrease of 3.31% from 4.2 US dollars, that is billion dollars, which was equivalent to 5.48 months of the import cover, that is as of June 2023. Now, the drop in the foreign reserves during the financial year was mainly on account of net outflows of foreign currency relating to government payments to meet external debt and import obligations. Now, the central bank explained that it's an annual report from the financial year 2022-2023 released that was in October. But you can see it's still why we're having the drop in the reserves is because a lot of money is transferred to debt servicing.
Oh yeah.
And they're trying to deal with the whole import thing. And you see, our conversation lately has been talking about how can we make sure that we import less, we decrease the imports and then increase more on what we export. And then going back to debt servicing, how do we handle our debt in Uganda? And we could see, I remember, if you remember so well, our debt was so high. As of last year. Exactly. So these are some of the things that we need to address. That is now as of 2024. We need to look at these things because this foreign exchange, the reserves, they really do help us, more so when it comes to stabilization of our currency and all that. So the moment we start having issues like this, trust me, they will keep on dropping and dropping, and at the end of the day, the time that we really need to get out our reserves and use them, more so in those crisis moments when we really need to now break them down to make sure that maybe we meet the social services that our people need. We shall have nothing.
And I also think one of the challenges that we face would be inflation and depreciation of our currency. It's weak.
Yes, it's true.
The value of our currency is actually lower. But of course, with that, when we have this brings to the decline of reserves in the country. And of course, talks have been made about AGOA. Us we should not be able to participate in AGOA. So, and of course, there was a report, it was a slight decline, very slightly actually. We thought this would give us a huge blow on our currency.
Yeah.
But of course, the BRICS are coming up and saying, you know what, we want to phase out dollars. We want to have a unified currency that we can trade with instead of dollars, because now that dominates. Even the large economies like India are reliant on dollars. So definitely, yes, we want to phase that out. Yeah, to have one unique currency that can be, exchanged all over the world.
And I think that could be a good step taken, because at least now currencies like ours, the shillings and all that, they could be.
You can imagine the inconveniences we have now that Kenya is going to turn into euros now. The trade phase dollars, and of course they're going to be negotiating in euros. So you can imagine you bring the dollars and they change them to euros, and it's going to be a lot of commotion. Yeah,
true.
Yeah. So definitely what we have to do for this year, actually, I think government should look through their policies and make sure maybe at least we can cover half of the debt that we have, because for Africa it's known we are entirely reliant on the IMF and the EFCs, the IMF,
the foreign aid and
all that. So definitely for us, we shall never recover from the debts.
But we could. Everything is possible.
Year, I think every financial year we have to borrow.
It just increases instead of decreasing.
Yes.
And that is a big challenge, a very big challenge.
And of course, for the downward trend, the Bank of Uganda has also actively been purchasing foreign exchange to build up the reserves. And of course, the return of the foreign assets have recovered significantly, reaching 2.5% at the end of June last year, compared to 0. There was an increase actually. And of course, Bank of Uganda still projects that the reserves will increase to $4.4 billion, which was expected by the end of June this year, by the end of this year actually. And now, of course, they will look through navigating through the forex market. So a lower level of reserves can indicate potential volatility in the exchange rate. Yeah. So if you have lower levels of reserves money, that means the volatility is going to be changed. It's going to increase, going to decrease. The volatility is usually it keeps on changing within time. So we have to make sure that we, at least by the end of this year, we have had, because I saw what they're planning to do with the coffee. They want to import more coffee than they did last year. More of our agricultural products are going to be exported. So definitely, and of course that is why they've been calling for a value addition in most of the addresses that I've been making value addition. So let's add value in our products. Yeah. Of course, if you see Kenya, which is top in East Africa, actually, is one of the largest economies in East Africa, if we to think of it. But of course, still their products are still substandard. Recently, Rwanda actually held back their imports of drugs from Kenya, because they felt that they were not safe for their people. So you can imagine. Even last year, Kenya's products, the clothes for babies, they were rejected by the US because they're not up to standard. The material they were using is not. So how can we beat the market?
Comes back to value addition.
Yes. So I believe that is one of the things that we can harness as Africa, as we're advocating for the African Constitutive Free Trade Areas, as we're trying to beat about the tightening the tariff barriers. Let's make sure that we fix our mistakes, so that when we are out there, and of course it's a good thing actually, because the Speaker of Parliament and Right Honourable Anita Mong said it, that this could be an opportunity for Uganda to be known through these conferences, through this summit, this upcoming one, and of course the CSPOC that is happening recently. And of course, as we await the NAM and the G77 plus China, we hope that it's going to open huge opportunities now that we're no longer participating in AGOA. Maybe India could be partners with us, or China could be partners with us. So definitely, it's gonna be we shall see what the conversations are gonna be rotating around. And of course, we are just 12 minutes into our first hour of Smart Minutes Business, and of course, we're talking about the challenges of Uganda's forex reserves, and of course, we have to make sure that we export more than we import. Yeah, because at the end of the day, our currency being, weaker, it will depreciate the more. Yeah, like Nigeria has faced it, Kenya faced it. Most of the economies actually last year faced currency depreciation. Yeah. And of course, right about now, we're going to see what is happening into the press. Well, of course, here I have the Daily Monitor, and of course, government gives investors 8,000 acres of land, where the several districts have reportedly given Uganda Investment Authority, that is UAI, land for more industrial parks, which government officials say will lead to creation of jobs and expand the country's production base. Actually, yesterday, we're talking about the income inequality, and we're majorly focusing. Income inequality goes hand in hand with poverty.
Yes.
The levels, okay, the government says they are doing something, but then when you go back and check, mostly people in north and northeastern Uganda, they are one of the districts or one of the regions that are faced with huge poverty levels. So, and the different initiatives have come into place. The PDM, the NYOKA, scaling up.
They're all aiming
and
at
of course,
poverty
Northern
eradication.
Uganda is rich in minerals, mineral resources. So I do not know if at all, this is gonna benefit the people from there. Mostly, not only in Northern Uganda, but also in the rural areas. Yes, because people are fending for hand to mouth. Yes,
survival
literally. So I want this to be an eye opener, for most Ugandans, mostly the youth, because we hold a huge population of the youth.
We play a big role.
We play a big role, but then of course we are still young, but of course and still hesitant. In doing certain things, because we feel like, oh my goodness, 100,000, what is it going to do for me? Because I believe once even these industrial parks are set up, the hubs are set up, there's not enough they can give them. Because 100,000, you can imagine, you have to pay rent, you have a lot to do for yourself. Yes, so definitely we shall see 8,000 acres of land given to the Uganda Investment Authority. And of course, still here, confusion over Kenya's visa-free status for East Africa. That and more when you get a copy of the Daily Monitor. And of course, police now placed 20 million bounty on Bujingo shooters. For those that are interested in crime, well, you can get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and you'll be able to see what is happening in. Actually, today there was going to be an address. The president
is going to address on the national security.
National security.
Then moving on to the new vision, here we have Kazimba marks 40 years in marriage, rebukes those who sued him. Then we also look at the deals worth 970 billion shillings set aside for Ugandans. Oh, this is a good thing. Then why his wife was arrested, that is then the Dr. Biriga murder. Then Katanga murder, daughter faces arrest. Then we also seeing that Muhoozi visits Kabalega National Park. Oh, then Uganda embraces digital wave as NAM summit approaches. Then term office of 6 EC commissioners expire. Then obviously Bujingo shooting still in the new vision. CID puts 20 million shillings bounty on a pistol used. Then 500 million Entebbe land dispute hearing deferred. Then we also have tourists assured of security. That is after Muhoozi visits the Kabalega National Park. I think this is a good thing. We should embrace domestic tourism.
Yeah. Well, of course, IGG is someone's minister Chitutu over OPM finds that, of course, Minister Chitutu has been the sacrificial lamb since last year, and still this year over the circle of the iron sheet still now in probe. And of course, for those that are interested in crime, Katanga widow and daughter first arrest, and of course the global tension, UN reforms top of NAM summit agenda, and of course they're giving you a history on NAM and of what it entails before independence, where we were, and after independence. So definitely a huge page here for you, and of course thousands of jobs as government expands industrial parks. And of course they had actually said this some years ago, that they wanted at least every district allocate land for an industrial park. And for some districts, they did not have even 5 acres. So you can imagine, because most of the areas they considered to have, there were swamps.
Yeah.
Vegetation, and you don't want to talk about vegetation.
No.
Yeah. So I don't think most of the districts have plenty. I don't think they have plenty of land for industrial parks. And by the way, that would be a good idea for every maybe region or district to have at least an industrial park. So that for that region it's catered for. There is employment, and maybe the other regions there is employment. At least instead of going all the way to northern Uganda, or maybe because there is
plenty of land.
Yeah. So 8,000 acres have been allocated to the Uganda Investment Authority, and confusion over Kenya's new travel requirements for East Africa. Well, of course, there was confusion among Ugandans who regularly travel to Kenya after Kenya Immigration Directorate announced that the use of the electronic travel authorization system. Wow, there is this. And a statement by he said that the Director General of Kenya State Department of Immigration and Citizen Services indicated that travelers from East Africa, the East African Community states, are exempted for 6 months, which has confused Ugandan travelers. Now, henceforth, all travelers coming to Kenya will be required to apply for the electronic travel authorization prior to travel, with exclusion of the exempted person, that is citizen of the East African partners. Oh goodness. These countries include Uganda, exempted for 6 months. So there's this system that they have in Kenya. So you have to register under this system for you to have easy access to their country. And of course, police places 20 million bounty for the Bujingo attackers. Well, of course, a lot of conspiracy, a lot of
many stories,
diversionary stories have been made over this. But of course, we go with what we think is true. What is presented. And of course, Museveni bids farewell to the outgoing UNDP head. And of course, the president addressed the nation on the ADF attacks today.
And here we have in the oil and gas, and then infrastructure. Oil deals worth 970 billion shillings set aside for Ugandans. Then we also have 14,000 jobs up for grabs as the sector readies for oil. So here they say that the Petroleum Authority Uganda has projected that at least 14,500 people will be employed on the different oil and gas projects by the end of 2024. Which is a good thing.
Well, of course, here the minister tells LCs to stop charging for stamping documents.
I know, right?
Yes. I mean, how are they supposed to survive? I mean, do you know how much LCs earn? I mean, actually, if you know, do you know the importance of LCs? I mean, LCs are more important than MPs because they know each and every person in the village.
On the village.
So at the end of it, I think probably they saw they weren't getting much out of it, and like, you know what, probably stamp 10,000. You can imagine. So in a week, if you've received almost 100 people, that's a lot of money.
I know.
Yeah, at least let them reduce. That's a lot of money. 10,000, and of course, poverty escalating, death by suicide. Yes, experts have warned. So we are trying to eradicate poverty Vision 2040. We want all regions to be catered for. We want to see a fair and just economy, and of course the disparity between the rich and the poor, in Uganda is so big.
The gap, they need to bridge up that gap.
The rich, I do not know which class, well, which people they call the rich, and of course they have 35% of the national income. They
contribute.
They occupy that, and then of course the poor, occupy 2.5%. So the disparity from 35% to 2.5, it's very high. It's really very. The poor are really struggling, and of course they are the ones that impose taxes. That high taxes. People that have SMEs, they are the most affected people. Yeah, if you come to think of it. So, poverty is escalating. Yeah, much as we are saying, we are trying to eradicate poverty, but people are still living in poverty. Yeah.
They need to do something.
Yeah. If you find yourself in a day, you're earning 1,000, 5,000, we're still in need of intervention.
Then here we see visualizing Uganda's energy security through critical minerals industry. Now they say that it will take national planning and investment in human capital skills and development by 2065 to plug all mineral sector skills shortage in the NDP, that is the National Development Plan 3.
And of course, talking about debt, here it says more and more debt. Welcome to the new normal. Uganda's currently owes creditors a whopping total of 23 billion US dollars. That is equivalently to 93 trillion.
93 trillion.
Yeah, I'm telling you, every year, at least we have that part of, we have to pay up, our debts, and we have to borrow again. Yeah, so definitely. And of course, this is almost half of the country's national economy, estimated roughly at 45 billion, according to the World Bank. So you can imagine, we owe our creditors 23 billion, and our national economy is worth 45 billion. That is half. If at all we are to cover the debts, trust me, we would be down. So down. So definitely, I think every year they pay up a little huge. So for Uganda, for us to be in debt, it is normal. It is.
So we should embrace it as the new normal.
We shouldn't embrace it, but then we shouldn't be surprised. We're in debt.
It shouldn't be
if the location, the new budget's out and they're relocating for paying up
debt servicing.
We shouldn't be surprised because that's the new normal in not only in Uganda but also the rest of Africa. So definitely we have to make sure that we try by all means to improve on our exports. Okay, let's add value, let's work hard. And of course, the bumpy road ahead of the Uganda's economy in 2040 and of course 2024 rather may just be as unpredictable as the past years. But one thing is clear: Uganda won't leave behind her economic woes from the 2023, such as the rising public debt.
No.
Yes, that has crossed 90 trillion mark. People, we are beyond.
We need to.
And of course, you can imagine we shall have to borrow to pay the debt. So do you realize the kind of state we're in as Uganda?
Even as Ugandans,
we are going to be pressure. We're going to be under pressure, external pressure, internal pressure, external pressure, all the way. So in case you see every time they're coming on your doorstep, you have to present your TIN number,
pay the taxes
and all that. So please don't you be surprised because we are in an economy that needs a resurrection. Yeah. Due to the...
Now that we're talking about the foreign exchange reserves here, I see some of the forex rates So the currencies and how much we buy them and, sell them. So the US dollar stands at, we could buy it at 3,760 and 80, then sell it at 3,820. Then the euro stands at 4,050 buying, then selling it at 4,250. Then a pound stands at 4,720, that is buying it. Then you could sell it at 4,900. Then maybe we could also look at the dirham, which stands at buying it at 1,010. Then you could sell it at 1,070. Yeah, that is all we had in the forex rates.
Yeah, and of course, that brings us to the end of our press review. I hope that you now realize the kind of state that Uganda is in. More that we have marked the 90 trillion mark. So what does that call for? We need reinforcements. We need to work hard because now, 90 trillion is a lot. 23 billion US dollars. Well, let's go in for a short breather and of course take a cup of tea. It's quite a chilly morning and we shall be back with international business news. Please stick around.